will be explaining my intake upon and demonstrating the metaphysical law of placement in the universe via crystallomancy, which is divination, by crystal. At the end of this video, I will divine the answers for a short series of questions using what is called a divination pendulum. One thing to strongly consider about divination is that it's like a form of learning. If one already knows the answer to the question, then what would be the point to asking a non-rhetorical question about the concept already learned? Divination is as a form of learning is seeking what remains unsought. A better question to ask would, believe it or not, appear to be more vague. Many forms of divination give vague answers, obviously because the question is expected to be vague. Another thing to consider when divining the future is the feasibility of the question asked. For example, only under certain circumstances should the sage ask a question, such as, who will win the presidential election, McCain or Obama? One other type of question that wouldn't get the best answer is one with a very obvious answer, such as, is the sky on Earth blue? This is due to obvious reasons that especially critics would announce as gambling and chance. That type of question is indeed a gamble. However, a more vague question would be, does America have a bright future? Yes or no? This doesn't say when America will have a bright future, or whether the question is an eternal concept that is bound to happen sometime in eternity, so it's not a gamble of chance. America has obviously had dark and bright times, and there may be darker times before the brighter times, perhaps referred by the divination pendulum. One thing to remember about the difference between the way I'm using the terms chance and gamble is that gambling is concerned with a random cause and effect sequence, unpredictable and unchangeable. Chance is concerned with a random cause and an effect sequence, predictable and changeable. To explain this concept slightly more precise, we could say that while gambling, there are no watchers nor directors, and while taking chance, there are watchers and directors every step of the way. Divination is like a counselor or a director, watching over the concept at mind. Usually psychics, if they're truly devoted and honest people, will appear to know much about their clients. This is all based on such tangible methods of divination, as well as intangible methods of divination. Reading someone's cards is tangible. Receiving advice from hyperdimensional entities or spirit guides, such as while astral traveling, is the intangible portion. Overall, everyone has their own special abilities, which when and while all abilities work together, the universe conjoins into peace and harmony, at the top of an equilateral triangle. Finally, division from the one and all force of nature is similar to an upright and equilateral triangle. We are below the top point, and as the sides ascend, the lines come together into the unified point at the top of the triangle. The top point can be thought of as concepts of God, goddess, or the force. The sides can be thought of as the planes of existence, and the bottommost line can be thought of perhaps like the lowest level and evolved infradimension. The universe is like a set of arrays or matrices. Array alpha may be compatible with array beta, allowing both array alpha and array beta to intertwine and take up less of a form of space. Array gamma, on the other hand, may not be compatible with array delta, further separating the two arrays from each other and themselves. Array gamma and array delta would therefore be lower on the triangle, more spread out and intolerant of each other, and taking up more of a form of space than arrays alpha and beta. And also, infradimensions are not conceived by the will of the force and higher positive entities. Infradimensions are usually conceived according to the intolerance of a less than perfected entity against another specific object or entity. So, one thing to note is unless we ever conceive catastrophe, we will never endure catastrophe. That's very strong. So, one thing to note is unless we ever conceive catastrophe, we will never endure catastrophe. To conclude, I'm going to close this video by finding the particular yes-no patterns on this pendulum for this particular space-time. See if I can do this. Okay. Yeah, I think there we go. Show me yes from the camera's viewpoint. Like a nod. Yeah. Show me no from the camera's viewpoint. Or like a head shake. That's how it always works for me. And now the question: does America have a bright future ahead of her? It's like a kind of a yes. Kind of like a circle, symbolizing, where it goes in a circle, that symbolizes certain symbols, which I won't go deeply into right now. Will there be any amount of darkness to have to endure before that? Or will there be any amount of darkness to have to endure? It's like a kind of a yes. Something to consider. C. Sometimes the director of the pendulum, whether it's the one in all force, a hyperdimensional entity, a spirit guide, a totem, or even the higher self, will appear to test you by causing you to repeat your questions out of confusion. I think this is perfectly normal when knowledge-seeking, unless you are one with the omnipresent force of nature at the infinite plane of existence. In this case, you would already have the answer. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you for your time. And now that's it.